happens when the moon goes black at 6 p.m. and the sun don't shine no more? What happens when the earth stands still and the clock on the wall don't operate time no more? What happens when your skies turn gray in the purple rainstorm and you don't wanna be alive no more? What happens when you come to the conclusion of committing suicide cause you don't believe in God no more? What happens when your stress level high and your self-esteem low and it don't have to get high no more? What happens when you wanna chase your dreams and increase your work ethic but you ain't got the drive no more? What happens when your faith is on the floor, you giving up on yourself and you don't even wanna try no more? What happens when you're tired of being something that you know that you're not and you don't wanna be alive no more?
Hey, good morning everyone. I hope everyone is having a blessed day. It is Sunday. We had a beautiful day. Yesterday was like 60 or 70. Today it's a little bit more chilly. I think the temperature is like around 34, 35. So I wanted to take the opportunity to get back at you guys and talk to you once again. The topic that I want to speak on is it's a three layer topic, and someone asked me to do it. I want to talk about depression, anger, and suicidal thoughts. The reason that I really want to get into this now is because the climate that our country in and the things that we have to go through on a day-to-day basis is mentally taxing for everyone. Also in the African American community, depression and mental health it's something that's really, really needed. And our people have a tendency to clown or to downplay mental health and depression because, you know, for some reason we was taught to believe in thinking that it's a weakness to get help for depression or mental illness, and that's just the trick of the enemy to make you think that you don't need something that you need. You know, it's no different than physical health. If your leg is broke or you get stabbed or cut, you go to the hospital. Mental health is something that I think that should be established just like you would do a regular doctor's appointment or something like that. I think that is something that you should get into on a frequent basis to make sure that you're good. You shouldn't have to wait until you're broken down and out to seek mental help. It should be a system in place, whereas you get your physical checkups, you talk to a counselor, someone that can judge your mental stability throughout the years too, because we all break down. We break down physically, we break down mentally. So I'm going to dive into this topic, and I'm going to be using myself in most aspects and my experiences, because, you know, I don't know what anybody else goes through, you know, and I know sometimes people are scared to speak up or to speak out because you don't want to be clowned, you don't want to be teased. I don't really care if people tease me or talk about me. I've been unique and different my whole life. I'm used to people having something to say, and it really don't faze me like that. If you're not important, it's only a few people that I really care what they think about me, and for the most part, if you're not one of them people, then it really doesn't matter too much to me. So I don't mind putting myself on blast. I'm not a person that normally put my personal business out there, but enough is enough, and people is going through some horrible things out there, and they think that they're going through it alone, and I want you to know that you are not. A lot of people that think they know me be surprised by what I've been through, what I went through, and what I felt and currently feel because of how I carry myself. So let's get into the first thing. Let's get into depression. Depression is real. It's very real, y'all. Depression, you have different types of depressions. You have one like the depression that I go through. I suffer from depression, meaning that as normal or functionable as I seem, I live with depression every day. There's a difference between someone who gets depressed and go through bouts of depression and someone that live with depression their whole lives. People that live with their depression their whole lives, sometimes they have self-confidence issues. They self-analyze. They're very self-destructive, even if it's not in a way that a normal person would see. When you think about self-destruction, you would probably think about someone that's out there on drugs or getting high or things like that. No. Um, Sometimes when you live with the state of depression, you function and look normal. But the things that you do and say and tell yourself is devastating. And the last thing that I was talking about the power of your voice and the things that you say. And when you say, you create. That goes hand in hand with depression, because some of the things that we say to ourselves in our darkest times or our quiet moments, that will stick faster than what someone else can do. You can have someone that's outwardly trying to encourage you. You may have a strong support system, but the things that you say to yourself can be very devastating. And when you live with long-term depression, sometimes you have to find out the identifier of that depression. For me, I know what mine was. My depression started years ago, 1983. The death of my brother, the death of my oldest brother, on December 23rd, 1983, on my mother's birthday, 2 days before Christmas. That was very, very devastating for me. But you would never know. I didn't mourn. I didn't show any signs of degradation. Most people thought that I handled it well. For me, that was the beginning and the end of a certain type of personality that I had. Most people that meet me or know me, they believe that I'm a very nice, polite, well-mannered person. That's true on the outside. On the inside, there's always turmoil. There's always destruction. There's always rage. And for me, as a child, as a little boy, in the situation surrounding my brother's death, I felt responsible. To this day, I know it wasn't my fault. I was a kid. There wasn't things that I can do about it. But, and I realized that. But a part of me still feels responsible for what happened. Not responsible in the fact that I did it. Responsible in the fact that I wasn't strong enough, big enough to help him. I wasn't what he needed me to be. And my personality from that point actually shifted. I probably would have been a different person if that event didn't happen. So what did Izar do? From the time of his death until I met my kid's mother, I felt nothing. And when I say nothing, I don't just mean mentally, I mean physically. I've always been known for my prowess to be stronger than most people, to take a lot of damage and things like that. And it's not that I was stronger or I didn't feel anything mentally or physically. I can get hit by a bus and get up and walk away. I didn't feel anything. There was things that I used to do that I didn't know was outlets for depression. Like, I used to go heavy into training. Some people know me like, they be like, oh, that's that guy to be and they used to be trained in Camden High Park. He'd be punching and kicking the bark off them trees. I used to do that till my hands get bloody and then wrap them up and go about it again. I didn't know that that was a source of me trying to feel something. It would be the equivalent to a person who cuts themselves. I didn't equate it to that at the time, but I used to train until I felt something. And usually I felt nothing but anger and exhaustion. And sometimes it was done purposely to get out of my own head. Sometimes I used to train myself until I pass out. Sometimes I'd be in the park, just laid out, because I'd be so angry and depressed that I didn't want to do anything to someone else or myself. So I worked myself out into the point of exhaustion. I was very, very critical of myself. I have a very, very protective personality. My family, my children. For me, what I didn't know how my depression started. The root of my depression and my problems started with I had a great fear of losing something that meant the world to me and having it slip through my fingers. And I didn't know throughout the years that that's what happened to me. It even affected my relationship with women because in my depressed state, you know, I would give everything, put everything into a relationship. And when a relationship didn't work, I used to feel the same way that I did when I see my brother going in that casket in the ground, because it was something I cared about that I seen slip through my fingers. So after a while, you know, I became a hard person to deal with. I was a person that I would show you love, but I didn't know how to accept it because I didn't trust it, because I didn't want to connect with it, because the fear and the anxieties of watching something that I care about slip through my fingers was terrifying. It wasn't just a, oh, okay, it bothered me. No, for me, it was crippling. It took me to talk to someone to realize that the failures in my relationships was linked to the death of my brother because I felt inadequate and weak to help and protect him, and that fear translated into everything else in my life. When my brother died, I became bigger, faster, stronger, and emotionally closed off. I didn't feel anything. Now, I wasn't a mean person, not at all. I was very polite, very well mannered. Actually, the opposite. The angrier I got, the more polite I got. If someone pissed me off or this, that, and another, the way I'm talking, I've had people approach me with some ghetto, you know how people, oh, man, I'm gonna knock you out now, I'm gonna do this, that, and other. I'm like, well, if that's what you feel like you need to do, I think you should just go ahead and do it so we can get this over with, because I have things to do. So I'm still standing here and you haven't swung yet. This is how I'm talking to people that's trying to take my head off, and then if something happens, it's usually nightmares for them. And then I just go right back to regular, why you make me do this? I try to talk it out with you and everything. I try to be this, that, and other. Now I look at you on the ground and you all twisted up. And that came from years of depression. I remember one time my mother told me, she was like, son, and I don't want to say it like this, but I'm gonna say it. She said, son, ain't nobody ever gonna be able to kick your ass. And I'm like, Mom, why you say that? She said, because no one beats your ass like you do. She said, you are so hard on yourself that I can't picture anyone else doing more damage to you than you do for yourself. And that was true. I was very, very analytical of myself. For a lot of years, it's funny because a lot of people see me as this confident person. I was I was a track superstar. I did the martial arts, the tactical instructing, the street. I done a lot of stuff. So people think that I'm this fearless person. No, I was a person, after a while, full of fear. And it wasn't people that I was afraid of. The depression made me scared of myself. Because after a while, what goes hand in hand with depression? Anger. I was angry at everything. I was angry at myself. I was angry at my life. I was angry at my own inadequacies. I didn't know what was it that I was supposed to do. And I felt like a failure. And the reason I felt like a failure is because everything I do, I try my best at. And when you don't try your best at something and it don't work out, you're kind of like, nah, forget it. But when you put your heart and your all in everything and it don't work out, it goes back to the point of trauma, which the depression hits, and that's the birthplace. So you got depression, anger, point of trauma. Now, depression and point of trauma, this is how this works. When you go through something that's traumatizing, it gets stuck in a time barrier. it don't matter how many years pass, how much time pass. When something triggers that point of trauma, you go all the way back to the event that it happened. So let me give you an example. So say if you're a female and you was touched or raped or molested or something, and it happened years ago. You thought you got over it, you did the counseling, you did everything you needed to do, and say that person had a cologne on or a certain song was playing. When that trigger happens, you go all the way back to that point. It don't matter how much time passed, how much the development you've been doing, you go back to that point of trauma and you start to relive it. You know, for me, in a lot of my situations, that's what will happen. You know, I would be put in situations and I would go back to that point of trauma, and that fear and that rage and that anger and everything used to kick in. You know, it's been a couple years, but it's been fairly recent. You know, I was in one of my semi-depressed states because the past couple years I have been dealing with depression a lot. You know, I don't go to counsel my church. I go to a very enlightened church, and you know, they help me out a lot. So, you know, the bouts with depression, I still live with it, but it's nowhere near what it used to be. You know, because my faith is stronger. My faith has been challenged, and you know, I'm doing a lot better. But it was one day I was analyzing myself, and I was talking to my mother. And personally, I didn't like where I was at in life. I really look at my life and what I have and what I don't have, and I really think I sucked. I'm like, man, this is, you know, I think I kind of wasted a lot of years. Like, I don't have this, I don't have that. I started driving when I was 40, you know. So I'm just sitting here analyzing, because that's what I do, especially on my birthday. My birthday is my new year, so that's when I basically analyze. What did I accomplish? What I didn't accomplish? What do I want to do in the future, or so forth and so on. So once again, I'm being hard-headed, being hard on myself. Got depression bug, even though I got a handle on it. Your quiet time just sneaks in. You know, I'm getting angry at myself, looking at things I want to do. I have grandchildren now. There's things that I want to do that I'm not able to do. I've been fighting this sickness for the past 6 years, and I'm just really kind of starting to hate on myself. Okay, really starting to not feel right. So I talked to my mother about this situation, and mother's in the infinite wisdom again, and she's like, all right, well, I don't mind you analyzing your life, but you're not doing it correctly. And I'm like, what do you mean? She said, you're looking at what you have, what you think you have, and what you think you don't have. And I'm like, yes. She said, okay, take that. She said, but make sure you factor in all the people you help, all them kids you done got off the street, raising your kids, raising their best friends, the boys you mentor, the guys you help get out of gangs. You didn't have guns drawn on you and everything, helping people out. The times you didn't work at the homeless shelter and you took your whole wardrobe down there so them dudes would have something decent to wear. You know, your interactions with people. She said, take all of that into consideration when you analyze yourself. She said, it's not that you don't have a lot. You're a person that gives a lot. So if you kept everything that you gave, you probably have a whole bunch of stuff that you think that you probably don't really need. She said, because you can't give what you don't possess. And I had to rethink that. And I want to take a minute to share that out with a couple of you people, you know. And this is for the genuine givers out there. I ain't talking about no fake people. I'm talking about them people that's kind of hating on themselves. They're judging their lives. They're thinking that they're inadequate. They're looking at what their friends have opposed to what they have. But do what my mom told me to do. Recalculate your life, multiply times the time, the devotion, and the people that you helped, and see if that helps you out. You know, see if that will give you a better understanding of who you are. Now, I want to talk a little bit about this rage. And if I get too long-winded, I'm going to have to cut this down and probably just post two separate videos, because these topics is important to me, and like I said, people ask for them. Now, I don't have anger issues. I have rage problems. The problem is most people don't know because I don't act out. The problem with not having appropriate outlets to handle rage and anger is it goes inside. You will tear your body apart keeping this stuff in. I truly believe most of my health problems is because of depression and rage. Dealing with the wrong people for too long and putting godly faith into individuals that's just as flawed as you are. That's what I believe that caused the demise of my body. You know, sometimes you love the wrong person for too long. Sometimes you give the wrong person too much of your energy and it's not reciprocated, so you never get filled. And then if you're already suffering through something, a hole got to be filled with something, so you're going to fill it with all your self-doubt and your negativity and everything. But there is something that I was doing that I remember my bishop told me one time. He said it's actually an expert skill that most people don't do. Now, externally, I'm one of the most greatest people. I'm one of the most nicest people you can meet. I don't do a lot of crazy stuff. I don't really do anything technically crazy besides the training and stuff and how I do certain things in my personal life. But as far as me as a person, I'm not one of the wild, crazy, ignorant people. I just don't believe in that stuff. It's not for me. Internally, I feel like a savage. I feel like there's been days, and like I said, I'm not a fake person. There's been days I've been sitting up in church, wondering how long the service is going to be because I want to go home and kill myself. Like, real, on some real stuff. Like, I actually had a suicide attempt before. And I don't know how he found out. One of my boys found me in the basement. I was done. I was up out of here. You know, I just didn't want to be here no more. So it gets that bad. And most people won't tell you that they tried to take themselves out before. I did. It was so much that I didn't want to be here no more. And as much as I love my kids and my family, they didn't matter. It didn't matter at that point. I'm getting off the topic, but I just want to touch on this real quick. Like, even in that state, when I was suicidal and I was lost, I wasn't even angry no more. I just was like, you know, I was just chilling up my day, and I'm like, you know what, I'm out of here today. The depression got so bad that the suicidal thoughts wasn't a thought. It was a hunger. Like, if you're hungry for food, it was like, I can't wait to get this done. I can't wait to get up out of here. Like, you going on vacation or something. I was like, I can't wait. I'm about this piece. I'm out. You know, I was cool with it. So I'm not going to go into details of what I did, but you know, I was found before anything bad happened, and you know, my mom was talking to me, and she was saying motherly things like, you know, that was a selfish act. You know, you shouldn't have did that. You know, I respect my parents, and I'm not disrespectful, but I wasn't beat for what she was saying. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm thinking like, okay, a couple of days, I'm up out here again. I don't know why y'all talking to me. You know, it's my life. I should have a right to peace out if I want to be here. I mean, cops can lock you up if they want. You know, I'm just thinking, you know, I'd rather take myself out honorably than just be an unproductive, no good, nothing. And this is how I'm thinking. So she like, well, what about your kids? And they be all right. They mom's got, you know, I'm really out of it because I don't even think, I love my girls to death. I was done. I was out of it. And she said something that really, really, really messed my head up. And I never thought about doing it again. She's like, okay, you know what? I can't stop you from doing what you're going to do. You're a grown man. I can't be here all the time if this is how you feel, you know, and you do it. What you going to do? She said, I just want you to answer one question. I'm like, what is it? She said, what I'm going to tell your little brother. What I'm going to tell your little brother about how his big brother just killed himself. Now, I don't know if she did it deliberately. I just told you. My point of trauma was watching my brother go in that casket. I never want knowing, and I never contemplated that. And my brother looks at me how I looked at my brother. And that scared the fuck out of me. Picturing my brother seeing me stuck in that goddamn ground because I had a moment of weakness and faith and spirit that I decided to take myself up out of here. But it happens. It happens. People get so close to damning themselves, you know. And this is what I'm talking about. This is why I'm putting myself on Front Street. Because there's a lot of people that know me. There's a lot of people think that they know me. You know, but you never know what a person's got or what they're going through. And when she said that, it terrified me. It took me back to the point of trauma that I experienced. Then I copied and paste my emotions onto my brother, and it scared me. Like, I never, ever, ever want him to experience that. Never. You know, my big brother, when he was alive, and I lost him at an early age, he was only 13 when he died. But that man, he was a protector. He didn't play when it came to his family. He'll crack him in the head with bats, and he just didn't play. He was kind of hood for his age. He was a good dude, but he's kind of hood. He just didn't play when it came to his family. And that just shook me out of it. I never thought about doing it again. I never thought about him experiencing it and things like that. So for me, that sealed the deal for me. Is like, I got to find another way. I have to find another way out of this. That's like when I gave my life to Christ. I wasn't a dude. I mean, I grew up in church and everything. I wasn't a guy that, oh, I want to learn about Christ, or I want to learn about Jesus and God and stuff. You know, I knew some things. I was what you call a stress conversion. I was up in my freaking house taking a shower, and I just fell to my knees and I said, I can't do this damn thing no more. I need help or I'm going to die. That was it for me. You know, I don't like getting too biblical because there's people of different faiths, but to me, it's all interchangeable. You know, what you go through and worship and everything like that. But they say God don't put more on you than you can bear. That's not necessarily true. It's not the full truth. Because humans wasn't meant to bear everything by themselves. He puts weight on you, so you have to learn how to turn to other people. You know, sometimes it's turn to him. Sometimes it's turn to the church. Sometimes it's turn to spirituality. But it's just say, oh, he never put more on you than you can bear. That's very incorrect. Because the thing is, we have limits. And we are meant to seek help. We're meant to seek help, and we're meant to get help. Human beings are meant to be and interact with other human beings. Cultures are meant to interact with other cultures. The problem is we lost this ability, and we keep things to ourselves, and that's why we go through depression. That's why we go through anger and rage. Now, I didn't kind of deviate from what I was originally saying as far as something that my bishop said that I do. So, I'm a positive person fueled by anger and negativity. What I do is the negative energy I use for positive things. You very rarely see me doing something negative. If somebody say they see me doing certain things, somebody know me, it just don't sound like me. So I'm not a positive, happy-go-lucky person doing positive things. I'm very negative inside. I have anger in the inside. I have hate in the inside. But I learned how to use that energy for positive things. If there was a situation on my block one time, these boys was trying to jump this Spanish guy, little Spanish kid, and he was terrified. Most people would see that and won't do nothing. You know, I told them kids, get out of here, you know, before I smack them up. dragging home to their mom. Yeah, that probably would have put me in a bad situation with their parents. But I'm old school, and I walked a little boy home. He had a big old butcher knife too. He was gonna do him in. Found out later by talking to his parents. The year before, they jumped and put him in the coma for 6 months. If I don't like something, I'm not going to sit around and complain about it. If my daughters is watching this, they probably going to get a kick out of this. I remember when they was little, some nuts across the street tried to set up a drug house, and they had dogs that were chasing the kids to school every day, biting on their backpacks and everything. And I politely went over there and I told the lady, excuse me, ma'am, I know, you ain't from around here, but your dogs is getting out of the yard and they're not chained and they're biting on the kids. I can't have that. You're going to have to do something. If I hear a report of this happening again, I'm going to have to handle the situation. Well, her drug-infested self didn't pay me no mind. One day the kids come diving in the door doing ninja rolls. I'm like, what's going on? And like, the dogs is out there chasing people again. So I went right in the house, grabbed a couple of my swords, walked over there. Them dogs knew their asses was in trouble. Them dogs was running for their lives. And I told the lady, you got to go. I don't usually involve the cops, but this is not allowed. So a lot of times with me, and even my students, most of my students, I could have been opened up a karate school or a training center. Most of the people that I train is handpicked. There's somebody that I seen that was struggling, and since I have certain things in me, I can sense things in people. There was people that I seen struggling, getting bullied, or looked like they needed somebody, and I just walked up to them and had a conversation. Or sometimes I remember people used to send my daughters to find me to help them out of situations. So all that hatred and anger, I learned how to channel it into positive things. And in a way, the bad part is I'm kind of like addicted to helping people, because if I go too long without doing something positive and I'm sitting alone, sometimes them thoughts and stuff start creeping back and, in my head. And to counteract that, I go do something, go feed the homeless, or, go help somebody, or just that and other. The past couple of years have been kind of suffering because I've been concentrating so much on my health, and it hurts me to see certain people in need. There's a lot of boys out there. Things are getting hard. These boys out there are wilding. They've always been wilding, but they are going crazy now. Now, some people think I'm crazy because I get emotional about that stuff. Because some way, somehow, I think it's my responsibility to say something, or at least try to do something when it comes to that stuff like that. And for me, that helps with my depression. It helps with my rage, and it helps with, me internalizing things about myself. So I want everyone out there that's watching this, first of all, especially in the African American community, please, please, please stop clowning each other. We have a bad habit of clowning each other when we need help. Good and damn well, we know we need it. We make fun of people when they need help. Like, we're so strong that we can't do anything without the appropriate help. If somebody need mental health, they need mental health. We all need mental health, whether we admit it or not. We all need someone to talk to. We all need some type of outlet. Men, stop doing it. Women talk about each other, but they don't usually do the type of things that men do. Men clown each other all the time. And we think that it's funny, and we think that it builds strength, but all it does is tear down. No disrespect to anyone when I say this, but it's how I feel. It's too many niggas running around. And when I mean niggas, I don't mean black people. It's about ignorant ass people not doing anything but not being productive and keeping people down. We need a lot more excellent people, not good people. I'll talk about that next time. You don't want to be a good man. You don't want to be a good woman. That's not good. And I'll get into that at another time, why good isn't good enough. You want to be excellent. We need a lot more excellent people. We need a lot more people that's going to stand up and not be scared, not be judgmental, and stop clowning. It's not funny and it's not nice. We got brothers and sisters out here that's really struggling and really hurting, and they don't got nobody to talk to. They don't got no one to turn to because they're gonna be criticized and ridiculed because the people think it's funny or that is weak. Please stop doing that to each other. Now, I'm hitting a 35-minute mark, and there's more I have to say, but I'm going to end it here. And I just want everyone to just listen to my words. If you get something from it, that's cool. If you don't, maybe share it with somebody else that you may think that's going through something. And I want you to start thinking about each other. Pray for each other. We are still a community. We are still a community. Rather, if people say it takes a village and that motto's out the window, no, it's not out of the window. We are still a village. I want y'all to love each other. And I want y'all to respect each other. And analyze yourself. And if you need appropriate help, get it. Get it. Hope I hear next time to drop y'all another video. And, just love and appreciate each other. And please enjoy the rest of your day. God bless. I love y'all all. Peace. I did it wrong. Peace.